Some stories are so dark they leave a permanent scar on a nation's soul. The Vizconde Massacre is one of them. In 1991, the quiet suburbs of Paraná were shattered by a crime so brutal it became a national trauma. Estrelita Vizconde and her daughters, Carmela and Jennifer, were murdered in their own home. The case gripped the Philippines, turning the Vizconde name into a symbol of lost innocence and shattered security. The tragedy struck a nerve. If this could happen to them, it could happen to anyone. Lauro Vizconde, the family's patriarch, was working overseas when his world collapsed. His return was marked by unimaginable grief, and his quest for justice became a crusade watched by millions. The massacre forced the nation to confront its fears about safety, justice, and the reach of evil. It was more than a headline, it was a collective wound. The story would haunt the country for decades, a chilling reminder of how fragile life and justice can be. The Vizconde Massacre became every Filipino family's nightmare, and for Lauro, it was the beginning of a relentless, heartbreaking search for answers. The crime scene at 80 Vincent Street was a vision of horror. Estrelita was found with 13 stab wounds. Her daughters, Carmela and Jennifer, suffered even more. Carmela, just 18, had been assaulted before being killed. The violence was personal, the brutality overwhelming. Valuables were left untouched. This was no ordinary robbery. The community's sense of safety was shattered overnight. Neighbors, once trusting, now lived in fear. For Lauro, returning home meant facing the unimaginable. His family gone, his home a monument to loss. The Vizconde house became a symbol of tragedy, a reminder that no one was truly safe. The nation mourned, and fear took root in every household. The investigation was a disaster from the start. The crime scene was contaminated, evidence lost or mishandled. Forensic mistakes destroyed any hope of a clear trail. Rumors spread that the killers were sons of the rich and powerful. The police seemed paralyzed, fueling suspicions of a cover-up. The case became a symbol of the powerless versus the privileged. Years passed with no arrests, only dead ends and growing frustration. Lauro Vizconde's pleas for justice went unanswered. The public's trust in the justice system crumbled. The trail went cold. Not because the crime was perfect, but because the response was fatally flawed. 4 years later, a new figure emerged, Jessica Alfaro. She claimed to have witnessed the crime, naming Hubert Webb and other sons of prominent families as the killers. Her testimony was dramatic, detailed, and instantly sensational. Alfaro's story matched the public's suspicions. The powerful were involved. But doubts surfaced quickly. Her background was questionable, her story inconsistent. Was she a brave whistleblower or a pawn in a larger game? Despite the controversy, her account reignited the investigation and led to arrests. The prosecution's case rested almost entirely on her words. The nation was divided, but desperate for closure. Many embraced her story. Alfaro became the face of the case, setting the stage for a trial that would grip the country. The trial became a national spectacle, the trial of the century. Alfaro's testimony painted Webb and his co-accused as privileged killers. The defense attacked her credibility, calling the case a frame-up. Lauro Vizconde's quiet suffering in court became a symbol of a father's love and the nation's hunger for justice. In 2000, the court found Webb and others guilty, sentencing them to life in prison. Crowds celebrated. It felt like justice had finally been served. But the conviction rested almost entirely on Alfaro's testimony. No physical evidence, no DNA, no murder weapon. For many it was a triumph, for others a verdict built on shaky ground. The celebration masked a troubling truth. The foundation of the case was fragile. The nation wanted closure, but doubts lingered. Justice seemed served, but the story was far from over. The pain of the Vizconde family and the country remained. After a decade in prison, the Supreme Court reviewed the case. Webb's alibi, he was in the US during the murders, was backed by immigration records and photos. The court found Alfaro's testimony unreliable and noted the lack of physical evidence. DNA samples that could have proven guilt or innocence were lost. In 2010, the Supreme Court acquitted Webb and the others, citing reasonable doubt. The decision stunned the nation and devastated Lauro Vizconde. The case was back to square one. Unsolved, with no new suspects, the real killers had gotten away. The public was left with more questions than answers. The Vizconde Massacre remains an open wound, a haunting reminder of justice denied. The statute of limitations has expired. The truth may never be known. All that remains is the memory of Estrelita, Carmela and Jennifer, and a nation forever changed.